to the Cover 2 with Phillip Jordan. Phillip and friends break down the latest news in college and professional football every week. So let's get this thing started and snap the football. Hut, hike.
Hello, everybody. Welcome in to this edition of the Cover 2 with Phillip Jordan. I'm your host, Phillip Jordan. You guys can follow me on Twitter at @ThePhilJordan. You can find the show on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just look up at Cover 2 PJ. Very easy to find. Of course, it's on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, Spreaker, TuneIn, and YouTube. Also on Spotify. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, please subscribe, rate, and review the show. Really appreciate it when you guys do that. If you do leave a review, I will read it on a future edition of the show. And make sure to check out all my work over at Last Word on College Football. And also go on Facebook and look up Phillip Jordan Photography. I also do some photography work too, some sports, just going out and about, taking pictures of stuff and other events and such. Fantastic show for you guys this week. I'll be joined by former Auburn and Miami of Ohio offensive lineman Jordan Diamond. He played for the Auburn Tigers from 2012 to 2015 and was with Miami of Ohio from 2016 and 2017. I had a fantastic conversation with Jordan. It goes about 30 minutes long, so just, sit back and enjoy. Get you a nice cold beverage, a nice sandwich, a bag of chips. I think you'll enjoy our conversation. We talk about a bunch of different topics. We talk about, how he got into the sport, playing offensive line. That was a big thing, the teamwork it takes to be on the offensive line. Talked about, playing high school football in Chicago. What was that like? And, how big it is in the state of Illinois when it comes to high school football. Then going from Chicago to Auburn. Talk about that, and he was there when it was the Gene Chiizik's final year going into Gus Malzhan. So that transition, that was an interesting topic we talked about there. Of course, the 2013 season, how fun that was, and, transferring to Miami, Ohio. And he talks about what he's up to now. So I had a lot of fun talking to Jordan about all these things. We recorded this interview back on February 1st, so about a week and a half ago. So I'm really excited for you guys to hear that interview, and I'm going to go ahead and get that playing for you guys right now. And then after that, I'm going to give my thoughts on the first week of the Alliance of American Football. All right, everybody, joining me on the show this week is Jordan Diamond. He played for the Auburn Tigers from 2012 2015, Miami of Ohio from 2016 2017, offensive lineman. And Jordan, once again, I told you this off air, but I appreciate you taking out the time in your day to come on the show and talk about your playing days.
Yeah, no doubt. It's great to be on the show.
I appreciate the time, and just start from the beginning. When did you develop a passion for football and then, started really playing the sport?
Oh, man. I started back in fourth grade. Really before then, just playing football just before school when I was about in fourth grade. And started playing, seriously, organized football when I got in, seventh grade. I've been a football fan forever. I was always bigger than everybody else. And, I joked with basketball for quite a long time when I was younger, but once I picked up the football, it was like lights out.
So did you start off as an offensive lineman, or was that something you transitioned to? Did you play any other positions when you were growing up?
No, O-line was basically the only thing I played. I played a little D-line every now and again back in high school, in grammar school. But other than that, offensive line was mainly the focal point of what I normally do.
So tell us, you come from state of Illinois, come from Chicago. Just, of course, I'm down here in Alabama. You play college football here in the state. Just what is high school football like in the state of Illinois?
Honestly, it's pretty big. We got 8 classes, 1 through 8A. We was always in 7 to 8A every year. They go back and forth. So we always play the higher level schools. But the Chicagoland area, is very underrated. We have a lot of good athletes there. We have some good teams there. It's not as big as in Ohio or Texas or Florida, but we were definitely trying to get up there to get recognized. And, that was probably one of the reasons why I went south, just to put, Chicago football on the map, like where it's supposed to be.
Because, I always hear in the city of Chicago, you hear about basketball, but, football, maybe that's because I'm in the South, you don't hear about it as much, but you're saying it, underrated. You do have a lot of talent there, and I always intrigued me, when I was, reading from Chicago, what is that like? Because, like I said, I hear the basketball stuff, like, that Chicago is actually maybe turning into maybe the mecca or whatever of high school basketball, but high school football, kind of curious just how big it was there, and that's really intriguing to me.
Yeah, no doubt. It's for the average, Chicagoan, it's always basketball first and things like that. So for the average, everyday Joe Chicago person, basketball, Chicago Bulls, Derrick Rose, Jabari. I went to school with Jabari and everything, Jabari Parker, and he was a big time guy, but at the same time, there's a lot of kids that's passionate and they just can't play basketball. They're just passionate about football, things like that. High school football games are pretty. It's hot. This is growing. It's a growing success in Chicago. So, I'm looking forward to being a part of, the growth of Chicago football.
Growing up, was there any, when you really were starting to come to your own at position, was there any guys in the NFL that you looked up to or kind of emulated your game after?
Yeah, I was a big Joe Thomas guy. I like Jonathan Ogden, from the Baltimore Ravens. Joe Thomas from Cleveland Browns. Believe it or not, I was a Peyton Manning guy. Love the way Peyton Manning played football. It was amazing. The way he had check plays and, take control of the game. The way, he just plays football is pretty cool. And, Joe Thomas, J.O., those two guys mainly were the ones that, I watched a lot.
Yeah, and, just kind of going off, what we've seen in NFL playoffs and stuff, it's really, everybody wants to talk about, the quarterbacks, running backs and stuff like that. But, I've seen, any great football team, it starts there on the offensive and defensive line. Those are really the guys, I think that set the tone for the game. And a lot of times if I go to a game, I'll watch that because I want to see who's dominating that point, because once you get that, everything else seems to work out for the team.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. The O-line and the D-line, especially the O-line, mainly, they're more of, the underappreciated, when it all goes bad, it's their fault. But when it all goes good, everybody else get the glory. Kind of, you got to embrace that kind of thing when you play an offensive line. So, they definitely have to be, they got to be at least the oil, something to go in the car to get it running. So, I'll follow it. Once a player accepts that and embraces that, the better it'll be, playing the position offensive line. So that's what I try to teach my guys that I train, my guys that's in high school right now that I'm training right now that's going to play college ball. Just embrace who you are when you're playing offensive line, because the glitz and glamour is going to be over pretty soon. It's going to be the quarterback show or the running backs or whoever you got to star on the team. You're not going to be that guy. It's very rare that you're going to be that guy. So just embrace your position. Just work hard to stay humble. So.
Mm-hmm. And for me, just watching football too, watching a game, the offensive line, it really is all about a unit. I guess you can look at a receiver. You have that one great receiver, or quarterback, running back, like you said. But the offensive line, for it usually to work, all five or maybe six, if you tight end, really have to be a cohesive unit to really work well together too.
Yeah, no doubt. You definitely got to learn how to work together, especially when when you're trying to get a common goal. You definitely got to work together. There's one thing you have to do is communicate when you play off the line, even if you want to shy guys growing up. You got to break the shyness, especially in between the lines. And, that's what makes it so special playing offensive line, because you get a whole bunch of different personalities. But in reality, if you want to be successful playing offensive line as a unit, you got to have the same personality or the same mentality going into it. So I think it's pretty cool.
Looking at your recruitment when you did go to Auburn, what was it about Auburn that stood out from all the other schools that you talked to that recruited you? What was it about, like the Auburn area, the team that drew you in?
Well, yeah, what drew me in is I got a chance to go down there a lot. Even though I was from Chicago, I went down like 3 or 4 times before I actually committed. You had a good offensive line coach, and Jeff Grimes was down there. I think now he's at LSU now. I was recruited under Gene Chiizik. He's a great guy who means a lot. And as far as me coming down there, who was a real staple in the Auburn programs and stuff like that. He's a real stand-up person. And everybody down there was, pretty much. I can say this. My mom would allow them to take me over as far as me going, super far. And so she liked it as well. My family liked it. I loved it, of course. I got a chance to be down there and, be embraced by a different culture, because the South and Chicago is 2 different things, it's like night and day. There's the slow country life, plus, but the fast growth of the Auburn and Opelika area, something that I wasn't really used to. And coming from Chicago, where it's fast-paced, gotta get there. It really taught me to slow down a bit and, savor in these moments and, and just embrace, being in a place like this. So it was pretty cool.
I mean, you see the logo and you see fans talk about it, but from a player, the Auburn family, what did that mean to you as a player, when you got there and when you left Auburn?
Yeah, it's definitely a family. I mean, how all families are. We're bump heads. We don't agree on everything, but we all got a common goal at Auburn. That's to win championships. And that's to, have fun doing so and loving the game of football. I can definitely put all those things together and say, it definitely lived up to what everyone was talking about when being recruited amongst the Auburn family, whether it was, helping us out, getting the right people around us doing academics, rather giving us help inside the class or outside the class with mental health and things like that. So, it was definitely some, I think that Auburn preaches and it actually matches up, because a lot of places, they're preach family, but it don't match up. When actually going down there, Auburn, it matches up. So, I couldn't ask for anything different.
When you got there in 2012, you redshirt that year, your first year at Auburn. Of course, then the next year, Gus Malzhan comes in as head coach. Just what was that, like from a player's point of view, changing coaches that early in your time there at Auburn?
Yeah, what? When that first happened, I was kind of frustrated because, I'm coming from Chicago and it's a long ways away. You're thinking, you sign with a place and, it's going to be, the coach is going to be there for, for quite a while. And Gene Chiizik was my guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he left. It was a bit crazy, and it was a bit disappointing because I was hurt. You know what I'm saying? And I was like in a position where I really can't do anything about it because I was hurt and I was new there, and I didn't know anything about, Coach Malzhan or, who, and I didn't know anything about, his staff that he brought in or anybody else that was in my class. I mean, maybe a senior or two was there when Cam was there and stuff like that in 10. But, at the same time, it was like, oh, man, I didn't know what to think about it. So at that time, I was like, should I get out? Should I go back up north? Should I go back home? Who else is going to leave? My peers are going to leave. Should I leave? Should I stay? Should I hear about? There's a bunch of things going on through, a young person's mind when they see, something that they committed to go away or get, kicked out or whatever the case may be, so. I mean, it was that rough little month and a half. It was crazy.
Yeah, looking at that 2013 season, I mean, everybody points to, the Georgia game, the miracle at Jordan Hare, and then the kick six, and the great win against Missouri in the SEC championship game. Unfortunate, the close loss to Florida State in the championship game, but just that whole season, was there a point where, the whole team just felt like we're a championship team and we can do this. We can win it all here.
Yeah, it was definitely in the beginning of the year. I think we played Mississippi State early in the year, and we had a comeback victory. I think Dak Prescott was on that team. They had a real good football team that year. We had a comeback win in the fourth quarter. I think Azuma caught the ball in the back of the end zone. It was one of those moments like where, we can come back and maintain, and we can, stay focused throughout this whole season. No telling where we can go. Then, we went down the line, whipped up on an A&M team with Manziel, went to their house and beat them up. I think D Ford had the game winning sack that game. We had a great group. We had a lot of talent, because the year before that we was getting our butts spanked by everybody. Back in 2012, even as a freshman, I still remember. I think it was A&M's first year in the conference. Johnny Manziel running up and down the field on us, putting up 63 some odd points on us. Bama whooping on us, Georgia whooping on us. LSU, we played a good game against LSU, but things like that. The first year I was there back in 12, but when 13 it all came around, we knew, because we had the same group of guys, basically from 12 to 13. We had the same group of guys, but that's just a testament, what Coach Malzhan had us doing, buying into the system, believing in one another. It was definitely a family-oriented thing, and just brought back a few things and a tradition that we, normally do, and it was definitely a spark to the game. And but that game against Mississippi State, I knew we can definitely make a lot of noise because Mississippi State is one of those teams. They have an up and down year, but when they're hot, they got a good football team. It was that, and it was another game against it was like a small school. I think it was maybe East Carolina, and they came in our house, and we just put them away. There's one thing that's something that the championship team always does. They bring a smaller opponent in, or they come in our house. We got to put those people away. We can't go back and forth with them and wait till the fourth quarter and then blow it open. Championship teams, you put those guys away early, you lay in the bed, and we move on to next week. And, we executed pretty well through that season. I think it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and it just how fondly do you look on that season, because you came away from an SEC championship that season. I mean, the SEC, I remember 2013, that was a loaded conference with a lot of great teams, great quarterbacks that year. So to come away and win the SEC, that year. How special is that to you now when you look back at it?
Yeah, we had a pretty good quarterback of our own. Nick Marshall was pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Nick Marshall and those backs we had who did we have? Trey, yeah, Kevin Otis Payne that year. We had Corey Grant. We had 3 great dynamic running backs. It was pretty cool to see the amount of talent that we had to go through. The good Alabama teams, of course, and the competitive Georgia teams, and and stuff like that. And the Myles Garretts of the world, and whoever we had to go against, we pretty much beat. Except, as I say, for 13 seconds in the BCS, I still think about it a lot. But at the same time, we were part of, I don't know, 0.009% of the population who actually got to play in one of those games. So, it's pretty fortunate to have been a part of that. So I'm pretty fortunate, though.
Yeah, and then, after the 2016 8A game, you transferred, you go to Miami, Ohio. What went into your decision into, leaving Auburn and going to Miami of Ohio?
Yeah, that's a lot of people that didn't know that I got hurt. I got hurt real bad. First, I had shoulder surgery my first year there. Played the 13 year. Second year after that, after 13, it was just like, all right, I just gotta stay healthy, but I couldn't. I had knee surgery, back surgery, hand surgery. I've been through a lot, and it was just time, with frustration boiling up, me, even though, I was at the place I wanted to be, I just felt like I needed it, to go out back, get a breath of fresh air. Just drive around, one of those moments when you grow up, you just got to get out for a little bit. That's what I felt I needed, after in 2016, season that year. Just needed to get out. I just needed, because I felt good. I felt better. I felt like, all right, cool, this is where I need to be. So, instead of, just going, through the flow of, all right, just the way, Auburn do their thing, because we had some good talent at Auburn already. One of my favorite players is Robert Leff from Auburn. Him and Peyton Barber were two players that I really admire watching and playing. And, I can call all right, these two my guys. Because Robert came up, developed totally from, when he first got there until what he is now. You'll understand what I'm talking about. He's one of my guys. And, he had a lot of talent there. I didn't, want to get in the way of all that. I'm like, all right, let me just get out of here, start fresh, new start. And, that's what I wanted to do, just get a new start because I needed it.
Yeah, you look at your time at Miami, Ohio, went to a bowl game your first year there, back, and then, next year, not as good year, 5-7, but you look at your 2 years at Miami of Ohio, how do you feel, and what's your greatest memories there?
Yeah, man, Miami. You know what? Miami is one of those up-and-coming, soon-to-be MAC powerhouses. Soon-to-be contenders, I think. I believe so. They have great structure there. Great structure, from the ground up. And, similar to what Auburn had. The facilities was great. They got a brand new 28-something million, maybe 30, probably $40 million facility. But then when I got there, great leadership and athletic director, great head coach, Coach Martin. From my position, offensive line coach, one of the better offensive line coaches I had. Just in mirror of, the process of, player building. I think, Coach Barnett was one of the best ones, if not the best one I had, just personally. I think coming from the program of Miami, they didn't know what winning was. They didn't know how to finish. I just stepped in with the seniors that were already there. I was like, man, we got to get these guys to buy in, because we started off 0-6. We started off 0-6. I was like, when we went 0-6, I couldn't even tell you on this podcast what was going through my mind. It was crazy. 0-6, and we turned everything around and won 6 games straight. Hottest team in part of the country. Like, we could have beat anybody, in that stretch. Especially the last couple of games, we were so hot. It was like crazy. It's just a matter of galvanizing the troops and getting guys to believe in the common goal that you have. And, I tried to, message that off to the seniors and, getting the young guys here, because I didn't want to be the new guy coming in thinking, I run the place because I came from the SEC, things like that. I kind of let the guys grow. Tell them a few things every now and again, get after them every now and again, but don't try to do too much. So that was the new guy. So that's what I did, but by me being consistent and, my actions and things like that really allowed me, to be a leader for the program. So just showing up every day, getting it right, showing the guys, the extra things, getting the right treatments, getting the right, nutrition, getting the right things, to have to really elevate their game. And, that was, you got there in the summer, so that took a long time for them to install. So it was mid-season,
Yeah.
Mid-season. It started off mid-season, and we turned that thing around. We played Mississippi State in the St. Petersburg Bowl. I guarantee you it was probably my best game I've ever played, against a team, period. It's part of that game. I still watch it every now and again. I'm like, damn, we could have won that game. But, I have fun with it. I appreciate Miami. I appreciate the players there. I appreciate everything about the program. Actually, I'm going to go down in the springtime and check them out, watch them practice, for about maybe a week, because I like being around football. So, and, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm really, really grateful that me and Miami and myself found each other. So I think it was a great match.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And winning 6 games in a row like that, that's incredible. You don't hear that after a team that has started with a 0-6 record, running off 6 in a row like that. So that's pretty phenomenal in itself. And I know I have kept you longer than the time I said I was, so I'll close it up with this. Just what are you up to now? I know you're back in Chicago. What are you up to?
Oh yeah. Right now I'm a teacher. I teach PE, and I'm teaching my own course in sports management right now as we speak. I actually got to create a lesson plan when I get off the phone, which is a pain, but I'm enjoying it. And also I coach, and I train offensive linemen, myself. So I go around, work at a facility called EFT in McCook right now, and we have about 10 guys rolling in and out every week. Come in and get training for myself. That's just trying to get better offensive line, and I mentor kids too. So at the same time, and I'm the offensive line coach at Simeon High School now. We have good players there. So, that's what I'm doing now. And I'm enjoying every second of it, just trying to live it up. Just try to instill what I learned from Gene, from Coach Chiizik to Coach Malzhan, Coach Grimes, Coach JB, Coach Hand, Coach Barnett, Coach Martin. I'm just trying to mix all these things together and be like, hey, what message can I give, a person that needs it? I'm just trying to give everything to these guys and be my authentic self every day. So, I'm loving every second of it.
That's awesome. And lastly, before I let you go, is there anywhere online, or if you're listening out there, an Auburn fan or Miami, Ohio fans listen to this, want to follow what you're up to? Is there any social media or anything they can follow?
Yeah, let me check. I don't know about heart right now. Let me see. You can follow me on Facebook, Jordan Diamond. You can follow me on Twitter, of course. Jordan76 Simeon. That's Jordan 76 the numbers, and Simeon Simeon. That's Twitter. IG, I'm not big on IG, but you can just check my name out, Jordan Diamond. I should pop up, but it's called The Real Chi-Town. And, I'll be posting my guys up here that's getting, scholarships and, me training players and going off to places and stuff like that.
All right, that sounds good. That's awesome, and I appreciate the time. And I know we went a little bit longer than I told you on the phone before we got going. But I appreciate you taking the time to do this and talk about your time playing football, Auburn, Miami, Ohio, and what you're doing now. So I appreciate it. And maybe sometime down the road we can connect again here on the podcast and talk some more football.
Yeah, no doubt. I can talk a little bit too. So sometimes I might go over.
Hey, that's the great thing about podcasts and not radio. We don't have a time limit. We can go as long or short as we want. But once again, I appreciate you taking time to do this. Really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Thank you for having me on.
All right, once again, thanks to Jordan Diamond for being on this edition of the show. Really appreciate him coming on and talking about his playing days. Had a lot of fun. Hopefully down the road, though, we can get Jordan back on the show and talk some more football. The Alliance of American Football kicked off their first season this past weekend. That's right, football season did not end. We still have football being played, and, pretty much, I think, successful first weekend. I believe I saw where the Alliance had a 2.9 million viewers, which they beat the NBA, who had 2.5, and the NBA was on ABC going against the Alliance, which was on CBS. And the NBA game was, I believe, the Rockets and the Thunder, which you got Russell Westbrook and James Harden's big star power there, so they beat that. So that was pretty big. I do think a lot of that is the curiosity factor. Week by week, they're not going to beat the NBA like that. But still, that was huge for them. The football was entertaining. It was good football. Obviously, you watch that. This is not NFL level. But it was well-played football for the most part. I know 3 of the games were blowouts. In those 3 games, the most the losing team scored was 6 points. You had a 40-6 win, a 15-6 win, and a 26-0 win. The closest game was the last game, which was Salt Lake City and Arizona, which was a 38-22 win for Arizona. I like the rules. I like the fast-paced game. I didn't really notice there was no kickoffs. The commercials thing, I love it. Not a lot of commercials. I can sometimes when I'm watching a game lose, excitement or the flow of the game because commercials can really mess it up. So I like the very limited commercial. I think they said 60% less commercials than what you would see in an NFL broadcast. Like I said, I didn't really miss the kickoffs not being there. I like to go in for 2 after touchdowns. That's fun. And just faster game. But I will say the offensive line play was bad. But that is also an issue right now in the National Football League. They are having trouble. Offensive line play is not as good as it used to be. And the quarterbacks, too, these are not great quarterbacks right now. These are guys that have been in the NFL, obviously, especially when you look at quarterback for Orlando, Garrett Gilbert. He was in the last game there for the Carolina Panthers. So, but those are things, that's why this league is here to develop those positions and those players. I kind of hope offensive line, and I kind of think this too, not only hope, but think that as the players, play together, they will become better units on the offensive line. Because look, they've only had a month of training camp. These are brand new teams. So they're they're getting used to learning how to play together. And I believe once the offensive line start, really gelling with each other, and I think the quarterbacks will be better because the quarterbacks will have more time to operate in the pocket and kind of understand what they're doing. And you get a feel for your coaches too. So, yeah, it's a 10-week season, so not a lot of time to fix that or get used to each other. Especially for teams, 4 teams will make the playoffs. So I think that's going to be something to look at. But overall with the Alliance, I was really happy with what I saw this weekend. I haven't watched all of the last game from Sunday night on NFL Network, like I said, between Arizona and Salt Lake. But I saw highlights of San Antonio and San Diego. I watched Orlando and Atlanta from Saturday night. Then I did watch the Birmingham Memphis game. Hackenberg does not need to be quarterback. How he beat Mettenberger, I do not know. Brandon Silvers unfortunately didn't play that well either. Another league, of course, next year you'll have the XFL coming about, and Bob Stoops was named the head coach of the Dallas team. They haven't gave the nicknames to their teams yet, but they're starting to hire the coaches. And that's just kind of like, the Alliance, their big splash was Steve Spurrier, their first coach they announced. And then their first coach for Oliver Luck, Vince McMahon in the XFL is Bob Stoops. And Bob Stoops can still say semi-retired. But that's a big get for them to get Bob Stoops to come in and be head coach there. It'll be interesting to see who all they get as their head coaches. Like the Alliance got big names for head coaches. Looks like the XFL is kind of going down that same pattern, that same road. And that's big because you need some name recognition. And let's be honest, your average football fan does not know who these players are. Most of them. There may be a name or two they remember from college. Like if you're in the state of Alabama, like I am, you see the Birmingham roster. You see it littered with Auburn, Troy, Alabama players. You know them. The same with the other teams, if you're a college fan. But overall speaking, you don't know a lot of these players' names. So then you can attach yourself to the coaches like Steve Spurrier in the Alliance, Mike Riley, Mike Martz, so on and so on. And so now you can say, okay, I know who Bob Stoops is. So this should be interesting what the XFL does. And I was listening to a lot of radio people, and they were really, really positive with the Alliance and what they saw. And, you think about these leagues, they're not really going up against anything big television-wise, sports-wise, because they're not playing in, March, April, May. They're playing, February, March, early April, which are not going up against, anything really big. I mean, the NBA regular season, the NHL regular season, baseball season hasn't started yet. So you're not even going up against the NBA playoffs. So fans will probably might tune into this if the football is well played. And, that's what the XFL wasn't early on. I've said many times on many different platforms that the XFL season to play got better toward the end of the year, but when it was too much about the entertainment, it was like pro wrestling meets football, it just didn't work, turned a lot of people off, especially early on when they were doing those things, and the play on the field just wasn't up to snuff what people would expect, good football. These are good football players. Just because they're not in the NFL don't mean they're not good. So I think that there's some positive direction for both the Alliance and the XFL moving forward. And when having these coaches in and what you saw the Alliance this weekend should give everybody, running these leagues and who might be fans of these leagues, some positive thoughts going forward. That's going to wrap it up. I wasn't really going to get into Kareem Hunt stuff. Maybe some other time. I hadn't really dived into that much. But once again, thanks to Jordan Diamond for coming on the show. We appreciate that. I'll be back next week with another guest. Haven't announced that yet. We'll have it up. And please share this episode of podcast on all the favorite social media accounts. Of course, you can find it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just look to Cover 2 PJ. That's easy to find. You can find me on Twitter at @ThePhilJordan. And you can also check the show out on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, Spreaker, TuneIn, YouTube, Spotify also. And like I said, if you're on Apple Podcasts, please subscribe, rate, and review the show. Really appreciate it when you guys do that. That's a big thing. And if you review it, I will read it on a future edition of the show. Shoot me an email at, there's multiple ways you can do that. Just sportstalkphillipjordan@gmail.com or the cover 2 phillipjordan@gmail.com. Spell out 2. And if you have a question for the show you want me to answer, I'll be happy to do so if you want to send me that email. Anyways, guys, hope everybody has a great week, great weekend. Have a lot of fun. It's kind of February, so it's getting weather down here is not that bad. It's not in the 60s, but yeah, I hope everybody has a great week, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you for downloading the Cover 2 with Phillip Jordan. Tune in next week for more great college and professional football talk. And subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.